What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. I'm joined today with Dan Krueger. How you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm
You
pretty
got
good.
two
Did I uh,
Dans.
did I mutilate your last name? Is that right? Is it Krueger or is it?
No, you actually got it. Most people say Krieger. I've had a few
Oh,
Krogers, but you actually nailed it the first chance. So I
good
like it.
stuff. Good stuff. I
Yeah,
got a
we're off to a good
knack for this
start.
sort of stuff. What can I say? But that's not why you're here. You're here because this is a chance encounter. And what we do is, well, I do anyway, I interview commercial real estate investors. Why do I do that? Part of it's because it's the law. The other reason is because you have to know everybody else is doing what you're doing to see if there's any opportunity to collaborate. And what I do is I go through the 5 different motivations I've found that are distinct among commercial investors. And I say, hey, which one's you? Then I go through the 6 different roles in the Dan Does Deals commercial roll die, which you can get your own copy of at dandoesdeals.com. I'll probably put the logo up again later so it reminds you. But the whole purpose of that, you can download it and print it out for free. I don't even ask for your email address. And the point of it is I want you to be able to efficiently communicate on the subject of commercial real estate and also understand how my guest fits into commercial real estate. But before we get too excited, Dan, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Dan Krueger, co-founder of Invictus Capital. We're located up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we are syndicators. So we go out and we acquire properties here locally that we manage in-house with our management company. And we syndicate those deals and bring in passive investors to appreciate all the upside that they have.
All right, beautiful. So let's get to the motivation piece. And I always start off with the motivation piece because sometimes we have newbies on the show and they know why they're doing what they're doing, but they don't necessarily know what it is that they're going to be doing. And if I hit this and I hit that, then maybe it'll actually finally show up properly, or it'll just choke and force me to figure out why it's made it. Oh, there's my screen all of a sudden. Is it a different screen? What's going on? Nobody knows. Oh, that's what's going on. Boink. Okay, and it's the wrong spot of that. Oh, lovely. I'm loving it. This is fun. Now I'm covered by a big white screen. Or I could do this and that'll work anyway. I'll just work off of what the monitor says instead of trying to pop it on the screen. But as I said, the people will know why they're doing it. They might not necessarily know what it is they're going to be doing. But the 5 different motivations I've found, and again, they really are distinct, I've found. The first one is preserving your purchasing power, which means that you're already more or less set up. But the more important thing is that you use the cash flow from your assets to make ends meet. So the reason why people in that situation are making more acquisitions is because inflation will ruin the party. So sometimes you need to make more acquisitions to keep from having to get a day job or something like that. That's not my motivation. My big motivation is trading time directly for wealth. And because I've got a background in tech specifically, it was in CRM technology, which is for online marketing and online businesses. So it's emailing a whole whack of different people, segmenting the lists, building the web pages, automating all the fulfillment, all that sort of stuff. But the problem with that is you're giving away about half to income tax once you get up there. And then once that happens, it makes you kind of think, well, maybe I should be doing something different where I get to keep a lot more of what I make. So that's what I'm up to. But the next reason is the most frequently chosen one, which is people want to fast track their retirement, which really means they want more control over their time. Maybe that means they want to work fewer months per year. Maybe it means that they want to become an accredited investor and then live someplace where the cost of living is really, really cheap. But regardless, it's a scaling back as far as time goes. And the next group, though, they're not looking to scale back their time at all. They're super duper ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They want to make sure they have that generational wealth, making sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold down a day job. But the last motivation is some people pick a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment, or maybe it's animals. Maybe they want to send people to Mars. Regardless of what it is, they realize that having the financial backing is by far the best vehicle for making a really big impact in whatever society or whatever you're trying to really make a big impact on. So of those 5 different motivations, what bounces out, what jumps out at you, Dan? What combination really describes you best?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's not cheating to pick almost all of them, because there's going to be a component of each of them that plays into why I do what I do and why we do what we do at Invictus. So I'd say that the biggest one for me when I first started this, which was prior to syndicating, it was just getting into my first couple deals with my own capital, was the desire to create more optionality, which would be really trying to get out of that corporate world that I was in. I was in corporate finance, and I wanted something that I could build. So there's a little bit of I want to buy my hometown in there. I wanted something that was really tied, whereby my inputs were directly tied to the outputs that I received, which wasn't the case with corporate salary. So I wanted to build something that I could scale and grow. I wanted to provide myself with optionality so that I could make the choice to have breakfast with my kids and pick them up and not be tied into this 9 to 5 schedule. And so that was kind of the initial goal for me to get into it personally. And then as things evolved and friends and family started to notice and partner on some deals, and then we transitioned into the syndication phase, it became just as much about helping other people buy their time back effectively and appreciate all the benefits, and educating them, and helping the residents and actually improving our hometown. So there's a little bit of everything in there. So I hope that's not a convoluted way of answering the question, but it kind of evolved, I would say.
Yeah. No, I'm totally cool with that. My biggest thing is a part of the motivations. It also shows where you are in your career as far
Mhm.
as the
Yeah.
whole process goes, and I think by the sounds of it, it sounds like that's exactly the best reflection of what you're up to. So that's all
Yeah.
cool.
Started out
So
kind of focused on what I wanted, and then became more about what would help people around me as things kind of progress, I
mhm.
guess.
All right, beautiful. So let's talk about the core competencies then and the 6 different roles in commercial real estate. And I'm starting from zero just to make sure that you can effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate. Again, dandoesdeals.com is where you can download your own copy, and then that way you can show it to your friends and family and all that kind of stuff and get much better at this. So first, let's talk about what a repositioner is. A repositioner is an acquisitions person. They're looking at lots of different properties. And what are they looking for? Well, first thing is if they're talking to a seller, they're going to do, it's a fancy word, they're going to underwrite the deal, which means they're going to do the math. They're going to find out, okay, how much is this property actually making? And does it match what the seller says? But the other thing that they're doing is they're doing the math to find upside. They're trying to figure out how can they make this property make more money than it is right now if they end up taking control of it. And the way to do that is you reposition it. You figure out what changes you can make in the business structure. The first one you can do to find some upside is get more efficient operations. So that way you cut down your expenses, up your net operating income. You stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. And of course, there's more to it than to operations than just unclogging toilets and collecting rent and doing bookkeeping and all that sort of stuff. Me personally, I've been hopping on with some sponsors to do the marketing piece, which is actually for keeping the vacancy rate really low. But I also have my chops for automation. So, there's an element of what I do in there, but it's not too big. But the other main tool that a repositioner has in their tool belt for upside is to get a contractor team and do a value add, aka renovations, make some changes to the actual units in the property so that way people will pay more and be happy that they are. So the contractor team comes in, they can build more upside. That's the second way that the repositioner can find upside. The other one is through more advantageous lending through better financiers. But the one issue that the repositioner might run into as far as needing more team members is if they're from the internet like me, they're going to need a local. They're going to need boots on the ground, somebody who can be there in an hour or two, because that's not going to be me, because I don't even want to have to get my passport in that amount of time. But they're going to be the accountability person, making sure that the contractor isn't cutting corners and they're completing on schedule. And same with the operations as far as cutting corners and whatnot. But if the repositioner turns around to the financier and says, okay, I'm the repositioner, there's the operations team, here's my local, here's my contractor, all that kind of stuff, can you lend us tens of millions of dollars for this apartment complex that's worth tens of millions of dollars? And they'll say, okay, that stuff looks interesting, but who's your sponsor? And the repositioner will be like, oh, okay, well, the sponsor, what's that all about? Well, a lot of training programs, they kind of gloss over the sponsor part. But if you want to get like 150 unit apartment complex, 350 unit apartment complex, it doesn't matter how big it is. If you want to be eligible for the loan, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. The financiers are going to want some sort of proof that you can handle what you're grabbing here, right? And there are a couple other things that you need on top of just having a similar asset. You also have to have a certain amount of liquidity, and then you also have to have a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you have all those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Dan, as far as core competencies go, what are you most likely to contribute to your deals?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the way we're structured is we try to keep as much in-house as possible. So right off the bat, we want to be all those things as Invictus. So collectively in-house, we want to be able to do all those things ourselves. With that said, the thing that I enjoy the most is probably going to fall to the repositioner bucket, because I love going out and finding the deals, touring them, and then jumping in and building out the model. And that whole process for me just feels like I'm out there digging for treasure all day long. And so I absolutely love just finding the potential opportunity and then going to town, try to find a way that we can make it better and try to see something that other people don't, and bring something unique to the table that creates value. So I think that's probably the thing that I really enjoy the most out of all the things there. But with that said, we've got, like I said, we've got our in-house management company. So there's an argument to be made that Invictus Capital is the operations arm. On the financing side, we've got some good bank relationships. They're usually bringing about 75% of the capital, but we've got to bring all the rest. So we raise capital from limited partners and put our own capital in as well. So you could make an argument for us on the financier side. And honestly, we haven't used a key principal or sponsor yet. I think that's largely because we've been scaling at a pretty modest pace compared to a lot of people. Since we have in-house management, we can't grow exponentially fast because we've got to grow in line with how big our boots on the ground operation is. And so that means that we've been kind of scaling up slowly. It started with a 6 unit, then an 8, then 15, then 30, then 50s. And so we're kind of scaling up in that regard. So we haven't really had to do the key principal or sponsor thing yet. So again, I think that's on Invictus's list of things that they're responsible for. And we're the local guys. That's one of our uniques that I think separates us from other groups out there is we actually live where we are investing. So we are those local guys who are the boots on the ground, who are making sure that everything is actually happening the way it should. But like I said, I think that repositioner one, building out the models and digging for the treasure is probably the one I'd have to pick if I had to choose one.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I was talking to your partner earlier today, and as far as an ideal property goes, I know that it's the Twin Cities are where you guys focus. But just for your benefit, when a commercial investor talks to another commercial investor and says, "Hey, what's your ideal property? What's your buy box? What really gets you going?" They're asking about 3 things particularly. The first one's the geography, so that's which states, what counties possibly, what neighborhoods even. So that's the geography part. The second one is the unit count. Okay, so that's true in self-storage and multifamily, many different kinds, like retail as well, many kinds of commercial real estate, but industrial and warehousing, that would be That would be in square footage instead of unit count. But the third one is class, which has two different parts. One of them is how it's the condition of the building itself. So if it's all beat up, it'll be like a D or a C. If it's fantastic and immaculate, it'll be like an A, A minus, A plus, whatever, just like in grade school. But the other meaning of class is talking about the area it's in, which has to do with the crime rate, the quality of the schools nearby, and things like that. So just for the record, though, Dan, can you please tell me what properties get you guys more excited than any others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you mentioned before, we focus in the Twin Cities, and so for anybody watching or listening to this that doesn't know what that means, because people that aren't from the Midwest area might not know what we're talking about. That's Minneapolis and St. Paul. They're effectively one little metro area. They're so close together. So when we say Twin Cities, we mean Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. We're really looking, obviously, here locally because we've got in-house management. But we've identified an area around the Twin Cities and the first-tier suburbs that we focus on, as well as urban Minneapolis and St. Paul. And so that's kind of the area that we focus on. And we're looking for definitely a B neighborhood across the board. We do a B minus or C plus if it's on a clear path of rejuvenation and improvement. So we've done a handful of those deals, but I would say post-COVID, we've really focused more on solid B neighborhoods and looking for B minus C plus class assets in those areas that we can bring up to, a really strong high-end B. So we're looking for some value add opportunities that have some meat on the bone where we can go in and improve things. Typically, it's a little bit of operations and a little bit of capital deployment into the units. But we're looking for things that are cash flowing nicely on day one and have some upside to them, and looking at things between 50 and 150 units right now.
Awesome. And the next thing I want to mention, you already said that in-house you have just about like basically all the sides of the die on it. And I just love how helpful commercial investors and operators tend to be. And I think it's because it's so multifaceted, but we're all more or less uniquely suited to help some types of professionals more than others. Usually I find people say that they want to help beginners, but me personally, I'm always looking for more sponsors and KPs, and that's because of my marketing and tech background. So they need to have some sort of systems and procedures and something going on for me to really be most effective. But for you, and don't break any SEC restrictions. So if you have any 506B syndications going on, don't entice any investors. If you got 506C, you can do whatever you want. But who are you best suited to help? In other words, who in the audience is going to get more benefit from reaching out to you than anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say any investors, any limited partners who are trying to wrap their head around how this whole thing works. Our whole strategy at Invictus from day one has been really about putting education at the forefront of all the things we do. And so if you look at our social media, if you listen to the podcast or the book, Passive Investing Made Simple, it's all effectively the 101 information on how to effectively passively invest in real estate, what the heck a syndication is, and how it all works. So if there's anybody out there who wants to get up to speed on this stuff, I think it's safe to say we put out a lot of content that speaks to somebody like that. As far as other operators out there, right now we're really looking at forming key relationships with other operators around the country. We've been in the business for a long time, and we've got a lot of those relationships. And since we're vertically integrated and really focused on the Minneapolis, St. Paul area and the Twin Cities, we'd love to be able to offer the opportunity to get some exposure outside of our area to our current investors, and really kind of leaning into the fact that we're able to partner with some of the best in the business based on how well we know everybody, and be able to help our investors deploy some capital outside the area in a way that doesn't require us to expand our headcount, right? Because we're vertically integrated. That would be a win-win for everybody. So I think that's the other angle that we're looking at right now, is in addition to educating potential limited partner investors, we're also looking to really, kind of get a lot of those key relationships with other operators cultivated, so that our investors have some out of Minnesota resources, or I should say opportunities to look at as well.
Awesome. And as far as ways to reach out, me personally, I'm always on LinkedIn. Of course, there's also my 506BME QR code that you can scan, and then you can find out my own answers to these questions and all that kind of stuff. But as far as you goes, is there a website that's the best way, or is a social media platform that you tend to linger on more often? How should people get in touch?
Yeah, invictusmultifamily.com is the website. So you can take a look at all the things that we're doing on there. You'll see links to articles, podcasts, YouTube videos, all that stuff. As far as social media is concerned, LinkedIn would probably be the best bet. You can just search for my name, Dan Krueger, or search for Invictus Capital. You'll find us there. And then also the book, if anybody's interested in checking that out, Passive Investing Made Simple. It's all about just how to invest passively in real estate deals. You can check that out at thepassiveinvestingbook.com or on Amazon.
All right, sweet. And I only have one other thing, and it's not for you, it's actually for you in the audience, which is we've got a big problem. You might not have this problem. You might have this problem, though. And the problem is under my left hand. It's a big, ugly red button. It's a huge problem. The gray button is not a problem. All you have to do to turn the red button into a gray button is you click on it, and then it just turns gray. And it has a magical power, which is it means that YouTube will pay for these videos instead of me. And that's better. And it's free. So if you be so kind as to do that, that'd be awesome. Full disclosure, what it actually does is it means my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. But you can go ahead and ignore those suggestions because you've already done me an enormous favor by watching. Just like Dan, you've done me an enormous favor by joining me today. This has been fantastic getting to know you better.
Yeah, right back at you. This was a blast.
Awesome. Thanks. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Chance Encounters. Make sure you do 506BME after this. And the way that works for you, if you want to be a 506BME member, if you're at a live event, a conference, or in a Zoom call or something like that, all you have to do is have your very own QR code that comes when you sign up. And then if somebody has their own QR code scanner, just like this, then my one has it in its phone automatically, so I can scan even faces and stuff. But you just scan the code just like that, and then it'll add you to their watch list. So that way you can they can watch your video, make sure that you're compliant, know your level of sophistication, and all that kind of fun stuff that the SEC wants us to do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks a lot. Bye.
I just want to tell you, because I've actually seen your website, Real Estate is a Scam, before, and I loved it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I think it's really so spot on. There's good stuff, bad stuff in every industry.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. For Dan the Man.
And thank you. Turn that subscribe button from red like his beard to gray like his beard will be.
So I met Dan through some networking groups for real estate investing. He's a great guy from what I know about him. He's very ambitious, and he makes it easy to come on with his questions and has a great setup. It's easy, it's clear, concise, and I'd recommend going on his interviews for anyone that's considering it.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was super fun. The process was so easy a caveman can do it. I mean, if you guys haven't done it yet, you guys need to get on his calendar. Just take 15 minutes of your time, get exposure, find out who Dan is, what he's about. He's a true trifecta. And if you don't know who he is, get in touch with him. Google his name, find him on LinkedIn, do whatever you can, just reach out to him.
So I really appreciate the format. Like I've told you a couple times before, I think it's really great because me personally, I'm very long-winded. I have to purposefully make things more concise, but the way I take things in is I definitely prefer things to be concise and straight to the point and concentrated. And the Chance Encounters really do that great for individuals. So you can get a good grasp on who they are, what do they do, why do they do it, what space do they operate in. That's why I love Chance.